Yeah, I mean, really, the finals in everyone's mind was just the Western Conference Championship, because it seemed like whoever won that was gonna, pretty much stomp the East.
Which is true.
And unfortunately, that's just kind of how it is now. I do think that the NBA should really consider moving to 1 through 16 seeds instead of this Eastern-Western Conference thing. I know it might throw some things out of whack, but let's not let perfect be the enemy of good, as they say.
It's a good point. I think the 1 through 16, I think that's too. I think that's too many teams. Honestly, if more than half of the teams in the NBA are making the playoffs, that's a problem. Personally, I'd like to see it go down to 12. 1 through 12. Just let it play out like that, like the NFL does. Give teams 1 and 2 a bye, and then teams 1 and 2 play the second round.
Expand the NBA.
Could expand the NBA. How many teams, though, would you need to expand? You'd have to get like 4 more, right?
Yeah, but honestly, NBA is growing so fast worldwide that it wouldn't be that difficult to do.
Well, I mean, you'd have to find cities. Obvious options for cities: Las Vegas, Mexico City could host a team. But let's hypothetically. So they expand 4 more teams, so that gives them 34, and that would make 16-team playoff more, watchable, because not more than half the teams are going to be playing. So 2 cities that could absolutely handle having an NBA team would be Las Vegas and Mexico City. What other cities would you see an NBA franchise coming to that don't already have one?
Buffalo.
You think Buffalo? You think?
Yeah, why not? You got hockey, you got football.
I mean,
get an NBA team there somehow.
You could. I don't know. I don't think Buffalo would be a very good basketball town. Maybe Syracuse. Syracuse and Rochester could both use something. Hartford could probably stand, and I know Tony would love to hear that, could probably stand to use an NBA franchise. Maybe not Charlotte. They've already got a team.
They do, because sometimes it doesn't seem like that.
Yeah. I mean, what? Oh, Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle is definitely a big one. In fact, I think that's going to be the first one, because the NBA is going to expand. It's just a matter of when. And I think they're going back to Seattle as soon as they make the move.
Do you call the team the Supersonics, though?
Whoever owns the team, I guess.
Or do you call them the Seattle Durantulas? Just to mess with them.
That'd be funny. I mean, personally, I wouldn't go with the Supersonics, but I'm not from Seattle. I don't, cherish the history of the name, so, who knows if it's something that the fans really want, because I don't know, I just think it's a kind of lame name. But hey, I'm a fan of the Knickerbockers, so who am I to talk?
I mean, that is a good point. The Knickerbockers are not the most fun team name, but it's better than the Metropolitans.
Yeah.
So Seattle could use a team. Las Vegas, like I said, I think Mexico City could use a pro sports team. I think the NFL might end up putting a team in Mexico City. But you got to do it 2 in the East, 2 in the West, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Assuming that they still go with the Eastern Western conferences. If they switch to 1 through 16, then, that problem's pretty much solved.
No, I mean, you still have to have divisions and all that. Like, in college football, they take the top 4 teams, but you still have to play in a conference. I would think, right? You'd have to have some type of separation, some type of division. It wouldn't like they do now. You take 1 through 8, and it's not like the best team in the Atlantic, the best team in the whatever. Have spots 1, 2, and 3. It's just these teams make the playoffs, top 8. That's how they're ranked. So basically, you would just do the same thing with 16, right?
I think so. I'm not totally sure.
Okay. Just a moment, Dan. Having a hard time hearing you again. So we're going to move on to the next question, and hopefully we'll be able to hear you when you answer. What went wrong for the Cavaliers? Besides a lot. That's not a good answer. What went wrong for the Cavaliers?
Let's start off. LeBron can only do so much on his own. I mean,
the man plays 45 minutes a game at 33.
Yeah. LeBron is not an actual demigod, so he could not overcome the Titans of Golden State. A little Greek mythology mixed in there. There's just not a lot to do when you're facing a team like the Warriors, unless you have a team that's equally stacked, and the Cavs just did not. LeBron was excellent. He had one game, I think, that was less than his normal playoff self. But I think his playoff, if I remember correctly, I was comparing stats, and his playoff efficiency and scoring was better this year, and I think Jordan's best year, which is crazy for him to be that good and then get swept in the finals because his supporting cast just cannot match up to what the Warriors bring to the table.
So then that leads me to another question that I didn't think of. Are LeBron James' stats inflated because no one else on the team seems to know what a basketball is?
They're definitely higher than they would be if he was surrounded by that much talent. But, his assists would go way up.
They would. His assists would go way up, and maybe he'd be able to conserve energy and actually play defense. But I would have to think, if he had, a good team around him that, like he had in Miami with Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Udonis Haslem, Jamario Moon, Mario Chalmers, Norris Cole, all of them, wouldn't at this point his numbers be lower than they are now?
I think all of his numbers except for assists would probably be lower. I think his assists would be higher because he'd trust his teammates to actually, get their job done.
It's kind of funny that he has to worry about his teammates getting their job done when the teammates he has are Kevin Love, who's an all-star, Kyle Korver, who's one of the deadliest shooters in NBA history. He had Dwayne Wade on the team earlier this year. So there's a lot of issues going on with the Cavaliers. I think the biggest issue that I have, or where I think it went wrong for the Cavaliers, is the reliance on LeBron James. The fact that they can't let the man take a break for more than a minute a game because they're worried about giving up the lead in a minute. It's insane that he had to play 47 minutes in 3 games in the finals. First of all, that's not fair to him. Second of all, it's not fair to the rest of the team, and it's not fair to the fans of the Cavaliers to have to really hope that the rest of the team can just come together enough to allow LeBron to take it easy in the middle of a game. So the Cavaliers, if they want to keep LeBron, have a lot of work they need to do. Dan O'Shea, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect. So what? I don't like LeBron's attitude, but I feel bad for LeBron because the team really let him down by, first of all, just not being a competent team, and second, by needing him to play 47 minutes a game. That's not asked of any other team. Maybe once or twice a season, a player needs to play all but 1 minute of the game, right?
Yeah. At all.
And we're losing Dan O'Shea again. So Dan Beebe, what do you think? About what I just said about where I think the Cavaliers really went wrong. What went wrong for the Cavaliers was just complete and utter reliance on LeBron.
Absolutely. And I mean, if I'm LeBron, I'm definitely screaming for an out to another team. It's, how can you have any hope at, a championship when you have no support around you? I mean, it's got to be increasingly frustrating for him.
I mean, as you saw in Game 4, he was yelling at his team.
Yeah.
Literally screaming at them on the bench.
I seem to remember, even the game before that, this is going, way back to when they were still playing, I think, the Pacers in the first round. He literally, had to take 5 minutes to go address cramps in the locker room, and if it wasn't for Kevin Love being able to kind of even just keep them in the game, if he hadn't come back, it was still a pretty close call, if I recall right.
Right. So, let me ask you this question now. If Kyrie Irving is still on the Cavaliers, is this a better series?
Slightly, maybe.
Slightly?
I mean, if you get back in against, Golden State of all teams, it'd probably be a little bit more of an entertaining finals, but probably still not enough to push him over the edge.
Right. Do you think LeBron misses Kyrie Irving? Because LeBron can come off the court if Kyrie's there, because Kyrie can handle his stuff.
Right.
I didn't feel in that minute that he was off the court in Game 2 that anyone on the team had any idea what they needed to do. And he's not even the point guard. He's not the point guard of the team. He acts like it because I guess they need him to be.
Yeah.
But they shouldn't be, first of all, shouldn't be relying as heavily on one person as they do.
Exactly. I think you'll see a warrant of that going forward, as to wherever he does end up.
Right. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Don't worry. That's going to be a really fun segment when we talk about where we think LeBron's going to end up. But in terms of this series, a lot has been made of, the Warriors. Basically, where do they go from here? A lot of people have been saying that this is the start of a dynasty, which I tend to agree with. A lot of people are saying that this is where it's going to end. And I understand what they're saying because Klay's going to want a better contract. He's going to want more money. Can they afford to give him more money? They just paid Steph a huge amount of cash. Do they have the money to really retain Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, and Steph, and go out and pursue another top-tier talent? The consensus seems to be that Klay Thompson is going to be leaving at some point. So, without Klay Thompson, do you think the Warriors have a serious regression, or is it like just, a bump in the road, we'll get over it kind of thing? If it even happens at all.
I think it's more of an easier fix, because, he's a good third in that mix of the top three. So,